Hello, class. Today we are going to take a look at how to draw a circle graph. Now, before we do that, let's go ahead and read our word problem. So, a student wanted to know the type of milk his classmates like to drink, so he surveyed the class. The results are shown on a table of values. So here we have it in this column, type of milk, and then this column is the number of students. So again, this is his class only. Okay, so this table is only talking about his class. All right, so whenever we do a problem like this and we want to translate it into a visual representation, and in this case, a circle graph, we actually have to extend this table of values because right now the table of values only talk about the number of students. And we know on a circle graph, it talks about a couple more things. It talks about the percentage and it talks about the number of degrees because a full circle has 360 degrees and it's being split into parts. Okay, so on Polypad, there's a couple of ways of extending this table. You could go ahead and click on the table and then just, drag this out. I would drag one more down. Okay, and then fill this in. Now, if you don't like this way, you could definitely go in here and you could click on this table and drag it out to extend it. Really up to you, whichever way you prefer is fine with me. All right, so at the bottom over here, I'm going to double click. I'm going to put total because the total will actually help us figure out the degrees and percent. All right, over here, let's calculate the total number of students. 5 plus 15 is 20. That's 23. That's 30. So 30 students would go in here. And then over here, we know that the circle talks about degree. And a circle graph also talks about percent. So we are seeing percent again, and we know how to calculate percent. All right, so for degree, how do we calculate degree for 5 students? Right over here on this side, I'm going to do some work here. To calculate degree, and we know that a full circle has 360 degrees. This is where I set up my equivalent fractions or equivalent rates or ratios, okay? So we have 5 students out of 30, and we're going to change this number of students to degrees. Okay, and the total number of degrees is 360. Okay, so notice total with total. This is number of students. This is a full circle, how many degrees, and this is our x value. Okay, so now back to the beginning, what we learned about. Remember, we can change this fraction to a decimal. So you can go ahead and go 5 divided by 30, which equals to be, let me get the handy dandy calculator. So 5 divided by 30 is equal to 0.1666 repeating. So I'll just go to 4 decimal places, okay? Which equals to x over 30. We are back to algebra. Okay, so isolate our variable. What's being done to our variable right now? It's being divided by 360. So how do I isolate it? Do the opposite. I multiply both sides by 360. Okay, and there we have it. Opposites cancel, those go away. Oh, Miss Chan forgot to write times 360 over here. And then finally, we multiply that by 360 on our calculator, It is 60 degrees. Okay, so that's basically how you calculate degrees, and you do the same thing for 15 students, 3 students, 7 students, and then for total for 30 students, well, it should all fit into the 360 degrees over here. All right, so how would you find out the degrees for 15 students, 3 students, 7 students? It's the same thing, same process. I already did it already, so I put the answers in here already. So again, if you want to figure this out, how do you do that in degrees? You just go ahead, replace over here with 15, and then change 15 over 30 into a decimal. And then multiply both sides by 360 and you should get 180. And that's how you get the degrees for 3 and 7 as well. All right, so let's take a look at how to find the percent, which all of you should be an expert by now, but if not, that's okay. Ms. Chan is going to show you. So again, 5 out of 30 students like 2% milk. But we want to change this number into a percent. How do we do that? Well, we know a percent is always out of 100. That's your total. Okay, so that means we want to change this 30 to a total of 100. That leaves me with some sort of percent. I'm going to use P as percent. Same thing, change this as a decimal. So notice, same process as this one, nothing different. So it's going to be 0.166 and it repeats forever if you put it into your calculator. And you have P over 100. You want to isolate P. What's being done to P? It's being divided by 100. How do you get rid of that divide 100? You multiply by 100. So multiply both sides by 100. Sorry, I don't have enough room, so I'm just going to write it at the bottom here. And then same thing on this side, over 100 times 100 because we want to get rid of that. And finally, you can put that into your calculator if you would like. It would be 16.66 repeating percent, which isn't very nice. So I would round this to maybe, let's say, about 16.7%. That would be our P. So you just put that right here. Okay, there we have it. All right, so I just went ahead and found the percent for 15 students and then found the percent for 3 students and for 7 students. How do I do that? Same thing as this. So instead of 5 out of 30, I put 15 out of 30. Same process. 15 divided by 30, change that into decimal. That is 0.5, multiply both sides by 100, and then I got 50%. So the process and how to do these are exactly the same as how you would find it for 5 students, for students that are liking 2% milk. Okay, so now that we have our chart filled out, that's our first step, our chart, we could translate and put this on a circle graph. So I'm just going to minimize my screen here so that we have some room. I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so because it's a circle graph, I want to draw my circle. So I'm going to go right here and pull my circle out and move it down a little bit. Maybe make it gray instead. There we go. Let's make it gray. Okay. And then from here, second step of your circle graph, draw a line. Draw a radius inside the graph. Doesn't matter which way it goes. It could go here if you want, here, here. Doesn't matter. I like things kind of neat and orderly, so I'm just going to put it right there. I'm going to start there just because it's easiest for me. And now I go ahead and draw 2%. So how much of the circle does 2% take up? Out of 360 degrees, it's 60 degrees. So that means I need my handy dandy protractor, which is under geometry. Go to utensils, pull your protractor, center with center. Okay. Starting line 0 degrees with 0 degrees. Notice the 0 right there. Okay, so I'm going to pull that over and put it on top. And then I am going to measure out 60 degrees. So from 0, 0 is on the outside, go all the way to 60. 60 is right there. So that is where I am going to put a tick for reference right there. Okay, so from here, I could definitely use my ruler, okay, and line up my center to my 0, move my ruler all the way to my reference right there, and I could definitely go here and draw a line from the center all the way to the edge of that circle. Okay, there we have it. And then this section is how much 2% takes up. So from here, you have to type it in, 2% milk. And then at the bottom, you actually need to write down how much of a section does it take up. Well, it takes up 16.7%. Okay, so now let's do another one. Let's go ahead and do chocolate milk. So with chocolate milk, again, start at the center. Oh, take a look. This section is already taken up by 2% milk. So that means I have to rotate this. Now this is my new 0 line, my new starting point right here where I ended off. Okay, so center with center, 0 line, starting at 0, you want to go all the way to 180 degrees. So all the way to 180 degrees. Again, choose a reference point right there. All right, and just for time's sake, you could definitely use a ruler at home, but for time's sake, I'm just going to use my drawing line and put it all the way here. Now I know it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to shift this up a little bit. And the nice thing about PolyPad is I can fix this. My reference point is right there, so I need to move my line so it crosses that reference point and end up on that circle. There we go. And here we can go ahead and type chocolate for chocolate milk. And then how much of the circle does it take up? It takes up 50% of the circle. Just because percentage-wise is easier to understand than degrees, all right? And then we also understand percentage also means the number of students. So that's why we use percent. It's just much clearer. All right, let's do soy milk, which is 36 degrees. Again, I take my handy dandy protractor, center with center right there. Oh, but this section here is taken up by chocolate milk. So I actually have to rotate this until it's 0 with 0. Okay, there we have it. So this is our new starting line because that's where we ended off at. It has to match up 0 and then center with center right there. Okay, so we have to measure out 36 degrees. So here's 0. I know it's kind of hard to see. Take my pen, move all the way to 36 degrees. Here's 30. Here's 40. So 35 is right here. 36 is just slightly over. I'm going to put a dot there. I'm going to move this, choose my line, go from center and all the way to almost my reference point. My reference point is right here outside the circle. It's going to look ugly, so I'm just going to move it back into the circle, right on the circumference of the circle, and there we have it. That's pretty good. Okay, and inside we go ahead and type This is soy milk. And percentage-wise, 10% of the students like it. So there we have it, right there. Okay, and then of course the last section, which is really nice. We actually don't have to draw because that's the last one. And all we have to do is type in the type of milk. So that section should equal to other, and other makes up 23.3%. Now there's actually one thing I'm also missing. I'm missing the title. So the title should always go up above the circle. Okay, so let's move our title over here at the top. Okay, and we'll double click on it and just say, I don't know, something along the lines of type of milk. So let's say favorite type of milk. Okay, I know it's kind of hard to see. Let's clean it up a bit. The title, favorite type of milk. And there you have it. That is how you draw a circle graph. There we go. And then you can make it all fancy, make sure these are in the middle, and then color each section. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me.